3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, everybody, and I guess it's maybe not good, but it's certainly getting that way. Welcome along. We were going to be talking about the new sporting director, technical director, toilet cleaner, whatever you want to call him, when he comes in tonight. But forgot we were playing a game last night, and we're going to talk about that. And with me tonight to talk all about it, Clibbo. Good evening, Clibbo.
Good evening, Christopher. How are you?
Oh, my Sunday name. I'm very well,
Yes.
thank you very much. We're also going to say hi to Craig and hi to Ronald. 1-1. He's come in, and I asked the question sort of on social media earlier because I went mad at the start of the watch along last night. Because if you remember, when he came in, I said I'll give him the Stoke game as a a free hit, because he's not really going to know the players and what have you. But if he picks the same sort of donkeys for the Middlesbrough match, that's it. I've had it with him. And when I saw the team he'd booked, Ricardo, who apparently could never play 2 games a week, but has now played 2 games a week. It's funny that, isn't it? Thomas, he didn't have any choice, really, although he could have put a Luco in there. Ayew popped back up on the bench again. And I'm going mad. I'm going absolutely mad. Well, can I tell you, when you've eaten it for a while, that humble pie actually gets to taste quite nice, you know. Because as much as I was going mad at the start, it wasn't actually a bad performance. And I asked this earlier, was this the best 90-minute display that you have seen Leicester play this season? Look, the 45 minutes the other week was fantastic, but again, it was only a 45-minute. Maybe this game wasn't kind of up to that standard, but over the whole 90, I thought we were pretty damn good, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, just to phrase it differently, I think it's the only 90-minute performance that we've played. So in that respect, you'd have to say yes.
Very true, very true. But I mean, look, and we'll have a look through some of the stats and what have you later on, but, defending, it was pretty much last minute at times, but they were putting their bodies on the line, weren't they? And again, that is something we haven't seen.
Yeah, very much so. There's a markable difference between Cifuentes defending and Rowett's defending. What I think he's done is just gave them very simple instructions and drilled them with those instructions. Something that I've been thinking about is, with Rowett coming in and being a very defensive manager and having a left back as his assistant, a Leicester left back, an international left back, is that he can work with the fullbacks he's got. Now, I think the fullbacks that he's got are predominantly progressive players, like more wing-backy kind of players. So that's the thing he's got to get right to get them just to defend. Now we know Ricardo's and Thomas's best attributes are not actually defending. So if he's going to use those two for the rest of the season, one is going to have to use Thomas because we haven't got any other left backs at the club. So if you can get him, and I thought Thomas, relatively speaking, had not a bad game yesterday. I think he does try every game, which is something that you have to give him credit for.
Yeah. But
positionally, I think he was a little bit better. I think it was one of Ricky P's better games. But the question is, to get a settled back four, do you keep Ricky P in the side? Because we know he's not going to be able to play 3 games in the week. He's not going to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. That's not going to happen. So I would still be picking a Luco over him. He's a younger version of all right, he's not probably ever going to be as good as peak Ricky P, but that's been a long time since peak Ricky P. So I would be getting this guy in there now and having Ricky P as your backup. That's what I think.
I can't argue with that at all. You have to balance out a lot. You will know, and anybody who watches this channel regularly will know I'm not the biggest fan of Ricky P. I'm also not the biggest fan of Luke Thomas. But talking about Ricky P, there is a lot to be said for, like you say, having a regular back four. Because if you're changing that back four, you cannot go through a ball thinking that the guy behind you is going to be covering it, but the guy behind you isn't the guy you've been playing with for the last 2 or 3 games. So, probably more than anywhere else in the world, having a settled, that particular back line as settled is very, very important. Luke Thomas, I didn't think he had a particularly bad game yesterday. Are you all right there? Is it your back?
No, the dog's pawing me, so I'm just telling you to stop it.
There I was about to feel sorry for you.
No.
No, I should never do that, should I? But no. But at one point, I think Luke Thomas kind of moved more as a wing back, and didn't Skip go more into the left back role a little bit?
Well, I saw Skip. Like the chants or the football songs that were being shouted will tell you everything about Skip. I mean, we can talk about him being in those positions, but he was in every other position at one point or another, and he was even driving the ball forward. I think at one point, I think he made the wrong decision. Personally, I think he should have gone to the right, but he was driving, and right at the end. Right at the end of the match in injury time, it was at centre back, heading the ball away, clearing it. Yeah. Absolutely fantastic, and it's exactly what's needed in that side right now.
Totally. I mean, well worth the 20 to 28 million, whatever you believe, that we paid him. Maybe he's going to be a bit like a Winks, and we'll talk about Winks later, but maybe a bit like Winks, that this is more his level.
Yeah, maybe so. But, I mean, in fairness, we are judging the guy completely on his price tag.
Yes.
And something that I discussed at the beginning of the season, me and Reece always have a chat about certain standard things about the new season. And one of the questions that he said to me was, who's going to be your surprise package? And I said, Oliver Skip. And he was a bit surprised at that. But I think now he's settled into the side. I mean, I think he's one of the first people on the team sheet, particularly in the dogfight that we're in. Yeah. And I think we're not giving him as the credit for doing skill, taking players. That's not what his job is. He's to break up the play. And all the great sides that Leicester have had in recent years have had one of those players. You need workers and you need players. Mm-hmm. He's a worker, and you need it.
And what Gary has also come in with, because I've said going back a few seasons now, I can't wait to see to see Enzo, I think it was, not Enzo, I don't know, it was Enzo, whoever it was, to put Skip and Winks together. And when they finally did, they were awful. But, Gary's come in and he's got those two working so well together. And like you say, and I've been saying this for ages, and it was my one hope with Gary Rowett, like you say, he's a defender. His assistant manager is a defender. And when you come into a club, 75% of the time, it's because the previous manager's been sacked. Occasionally they'll walk out or retire, but usually it's because they've been sacked. And if they've been sacked, it's because you're not doing very well. And if you're not doing very well, it means you're losing matches. Why are you losing matches? Because you're conceding goals. So the first thing that you have to do with any team that's struggling is to sort the defence out. Because if you score 3 but you're conceding 4 every week, you're not going to do very well. And it looks to me like that he has sort of making huge headways into that with the defence.
Yeah, I mean, there's another side to get a little bit more into the game, which obviously you're going to do a bit later. But I think if you look at the game overall, what you could see was that predominantly, which had to be done, was I need to concentrate on stop leaking silly goals, and everybody needs to be part of that. What it does do inadvertently is take away from the attack. And I think if we can get this defence right, then he can work on the breakaways. Because I still think, and I don't want to sound like a sort of miserable sod, when I came away from the game last night, I was relieved to get a point. I predicted a point, 1-1. So, overall, we didn't lose. And then I thought, right, that's 2 draws. That's 2 points out of 6. It's not good enough. And had we been good enough last night up top, maybe we could have won it. I don't think we deserved to win it, but I just definitely we deserved a point. Now, at this stage of the season, 1 point has to become 3, and it has to become 3 regularly. So yes. At this point in the season, even though we've got a new manager, I'm still 49-51 going down.
Yeah. The Brexit vote. Yeah. I mean, interestingly today, West Bromwich Albion have sacked their manager, Ramsey.
I thought that was coming.
Yeah.
No.
That was never the biggest shock in the world. The thing is, though, I mean, at one point it was really bad because they were 1-0 up against Charlton, and that was going to create a 4-point gap when it was 1-0. He's gone. I mean, and I know I asked this earlier again on social media, and people say, well, it depends who's come in. I'm just wondering whether that might work against us because, if somebody comes in now that gets them playing, that could spell danger for us.
They haven't got a bad side either. If they can make those players work together, that's not a bad side. I don't profess to know lots about lots of teams in the Championship, but I do know that West Brom have got some half-decent players that if they click, we've got problems. I mean, I still think we could drag Portsmouth and Blackburn in, but we have to win on Saturday. We have to win. A draw will not... I don't think it will do us any favours at all.
No. All right, look, at the start of the season, I was getting pelters off people when we drew 4 games in a row. And saying, oh, look how shit we are, blah, blah, blah. And I was saying, we'd have taken that 4 draws last bloody season where we couldn't win any in 17. We've now had 2 draws. It is got to be baby steps. We can't go from being as bad as we were to suddenly beating every team that's out there. 2 points from 6 against the likes of Stoke and Middlesbrough. Are you, and like I say, we could always be happier, but are you happy with that?
No, because and what I will say is that in terms of other teams that I've seen, I think Middlesbrough, their progressive play, their attacking football is some of the best I've seen in this division this year. However, I'm only judging that on the standard of the league. And I didn't look at Middlesbrough and go, wow, they're a great team. I didn't look at Stoke and go, wow, they're a great team. I just think they're average teams. The whole division is so poor. And that's why I'm so annoyed at where we are, because we have got much better players than most of these. All right, it's about application. But even still, you take 75% of our playing ability, not even 90% of our players, 75%, 60% is better than most teams in this division. It is literally the worst championship I've seen for 100%. Many years. Yeah. So no, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. In fact, when I woke up this morning, the first thing I thought about was, other than having to get the dog walked, was what do I feel about 1 point? And actually, naturally, I felt pissed off.
I know what you say. I mean, I went for 2 losses. I went for a 3-1 Middlesbrough win last night. If you'd given me the draw, I'd have probably snapped your hands off, because it is baby steps. And no matter how average the teams we are playing, we've been so awful, that we couldn't be, the under-11s from Rochdale. Now, to get, 3 goals it's been in 2 games, but we've still not got a clean sheet, but we're getting there. That game last night, if we'd have had Marty in charge, we would have gone on to lose that, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. But what you've got to take into account is that we only have 12 games left. Now, in the situation we're in, we are already relying on other teams.
Unfortunately, I think we probably are. Yes.
Yeah, we're relying on it because we're in the bottom. We're in that bottom part, and teams above us have to start losing. Now, at the moment, they're not losing, are they?
Well,
so we have to win to do our bit.
Yeah. Oh no, we have to start, like you say, we have to start winning games. You're 100% right there. But I'm just thinking from where we were, we've got, these 2 draws against those 2 teams. I will take, but Norwich coming up is a must-win now. I mean, they're beating Sheffield Wednesday tonight, which isn't the biggest surprise in the footballing world. It's not up there with Bodo Glimt winning away at Inter Milan, but it's it again pulls Norwich away a little bit. Oxford at the moment are just drawing against Stoke. That's 0-0. So those 2 games are the ones that will affect us. Last night, the results did kind of go our way, though, didn't they, a little bit? When you look at the games last night, let's just have a look at the scores here. Blackburn went ahead, and we're thinking, oh, shit, here we go, but they ended up losing. Swansea, they're not out of it probably yet. They could only get a draw. West Brom managed to get that point against Charlton, but again, they'd gone ahead at 1 point. Portsmouth lost to Wrexham. And I actually had the postman delivered my post today, and I'd forgotten he's a Portsmouth fan. And it was the parcel post, not just the normal postman. It was, you're the Leicester fan. We're having a bit of a natter, and he's not confident about staying up either.
I think anyone round about the bottom area that at this time of the season, I think there'd be a brave person to say I'm confident of staying up.
Yes.
Nature of the league will tell you that. The only glimmer of hope that I've got is I think we hit our lowest point.
Mm-hmm.
And it can surely only get better from there. Now, we are showing a little bit of progression. The heart, the fight, It seemed like they cared. You know, all those sort of standard things that should be in the mixing bowl at the start of a game, or any game for Leicester particularly. We are seeing a progression, but it's how fast that progression can happen, because I'm sure. I'm just not sure we can score enough goals. That's the problem.
It is. No, very much so. Especially with the two number 9s that we've got. I said on the post-match last night, I don't know if you were still in them, but I said, if we go down by 3 or 4 points, it will not be on the players, it will not be on Gary Rowett, it will be on John Rudkin and Top. Because, they took so long to appoint Rowett. You know, when we had Dean Smith, I think if Dean Smith had been appointed 3 or 4 weeks earlier, we would have stayed up.
Yeah, I'm 99% sure of that.
And, you know, that's what's worrying me. That's my big worry about this. Time will tell, obviously. But I did say in the pre-match to the watch-along last night to Tom, I did say, bloody hell, I said, Clibbo will be pulling his hair out now. I said he's got a lot of hair, but he might not have when he sees the team that's been picked. What did you think when you saw that team? Because to be honest with you, and all right, you know, you have to sort of react in a certain way because it's what's expected. But I was pissed off. I got to the point, to be honest with you, though, where I wasn't pissed off, and I didn't rant like I've ranted in the past. I got to the point when I saw that team of, I just don't give a shit anymore.
Well, part of me did feel like that when I saw Ricky P there. And the reason I say that is because notoriously we've been told he can't play 2 games in a week. And that's why I think Aluko needs to be the number 1 right back. Because of the amount, and he's been making quite a lot of mistakes. The only thing I would say in the opposite direction to that is that if you're being asked to play as a flat back 4, no inversions, no pissing about, you just clear the ball, you know, etc. Even though defending was never the greatest strength of him, I think we could work with that. So the only thing I'm a bit annoyed about is that he'll probably not be in the team Saturday, which means changing the back 4 again. In terms of Winks, we knew Winks was going to play. His passing stats were absolutely incredible yesterday. So despite what we think, he played, so we couldn't affect that. So based on that alone, you know, he was great. Skip was fantastic. Mikasa, great. The surprises for me were Bobby. I have to say I was surprised because I've never really liked Bobby too much on the wing. I still think he should be our backup striker. Mavadidi for me, huffed and puffed, but largely was quite negative, gave the ball away in silly areas and didn't really have much positive impact. And I'd hate to be slagging players off at this point of the season because I don't think it's healthy for them. It's probably more healthy for us. But I thought he was... I just thought he had the ball, he did a few tricks, gave the ball away. Tracked back a little bit more than he did probably before. But again, he's one of those luxury players when everything's going well for him. So for me, I would be looking at that going, that needs addressing.
Yeah. And look, when I saw that, and as Craig says there, yeah, he's the number 9. He knows where the net is. Daka doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he should have got that header the other day. And, you know, but he's got 2 goals. I mean, you know, between us, our 2 number 9s have got about 5 goals this season. It is pathetic. And when I saw that team, I actually redid the team for Leicester City. That's what I put. Now, I have to say, I did eat a hell of a lot of humble pie at the end of the game last night. It doesn't taste too bad when you've been eating it for a while. But, look, Akoli, Yeah, I know he scored the goal, but then the older Cody came in and we'll hear what Gary had to say later. He should have just booted it up the other end of the field. Luke Thomas, we haven't got anybody else. That's the problem. You could argue that Aluko could start there. With Cardo, I was with you with the two games in a week, but then at least we haven't got Chowdhury back at the moment. Bobby on the wing, I don't mind Bobby. To me, his probably his best position is number 10, but nobody's going to take Mukasa out of that position at the moment. Not even Ramsey. Mavididi just loves himself too much, And Daka, look, he could still be playing now. He wouldn't have scored. So that's what I thought of the team. But like I said, I did have to eat a lot of humble pie at the end of that game because I did think it was pretty much a very, very decent performance. And when you look at this, sorry,
go on. No, sorry, carry on.
When you look at it, when we played Stoke, he made 2 substitutions. When we played Middlesbrough, he only made 4. So when you look at the substitutions he makes, I'm looking at them and I am understanding why he's doing them. With Marty, so very often it was like for like. And that can sometimes work because if one player's getting roasted in a position, so let's say like a Luke Thomas, then you might bring somebody else on that can do better against the opposing player. But generally, you want to see something different if you're struggling. And Rowett seems to know what he's doing with his substitutions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all those substitutions. I mean, Aribo started on the left, didn't he, and then came back into the middle. So, I mean, he's a very useful player, and I think he's going to be, given what I've seen so far, I think he's going to be quite an important player for us in the running. Page didn't have, he wasn't on for very long, so it was hard for him to make too much of an impact.
No.
Fatoa, again, some of his decision making to me yesterday was just a bit strange, sort of flattered to deceive a little bit. Some nice stuff, but if he could just, I don't know, he's got much more to him than he's showing me at the minute, and that frustrates me. The one that I actually swore at the TV.
I know where he's going. I was waiting for this one. I thought, I'll get out before he says anything. But no,
I don't understand it because we all knew. I mean, I'll take my hand. I picked Daka as the striker, right?
Yeah.
And I would pick him for the rest of the season. What he did was work really hard and made their defence unnerved for the entirety he was on that pitch. Now, I've heard people say, he was getting tired. I don't buy it. He's hardly played all season. He's a professional footballer and he's fit. So just keep him on there because we knew when Ayew came on, what he would do is drift out to the left.
Oh, a lot, yes.
Drift out to the left. Over. Yeah, and he was doing little, maybe start 3/4 of the way up the pitch. And do these sort of tight little tricks on the line, and then it'd end up back to nearly where Luke Thomas would be. So he'd done all that pissing about for it to end up back in our half, our defence. And it's just every single time he's on the pitch, this happens.
Surely,
I can't bear it.
If Ricardo can do 2 games in a week, Daka should be able to. I don't think he would have taken himself off. I think he was quite happy. But even a slightly tired Daka is going to be quicker than a fully up to speed Jordan Ayew.
In one of my sort of downtime moments today, I was actually thinking about this, and I was getting myself really wound up, and I shouldn't do it to myself. And I was thinking, Rowett, that was a real dickhead moment that you just did, and you need to learn from that, or you're going to lose respect from the fans. You need to stop it. And I thought to myself, if I actually think with 10 men, Leicester play more attacking than when Ayew was on the pitch with 11 men.
it does hold us back, doesn't it? I mean,
It's
look,
dreadful.
Ayew does what Ayew does. If you're going to bring him on, I mean, what he came on after 62 minutes. 82 minutes, I say, is fine, just to see the game out. If we're winning or we're just, we're holding on by the skin of our teeth, because he will do what he does, which is go down, wins us free kicks, and it's nice to see somebody that can actually do free kicks now. Unfortunately, again, it's another loanee, Mukasa. But yeah, that to me, no matter how. I mean, Daka needs somebody. He needs a partner up front. There's no, whatever you say about Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy at his peak was when he had Okazaki beside him. So, yeah, but you got to keep Daka on purely for his speed, because at the end of the day, if they came to us at the end of that match, they were really coming strong. We had a bit of the last 5-10 minutes, but they had a period where they were coming on really well. Well, if we can boot the ball upfield and Daka's not defending but staying on the halfway line, it and he's still got that speed in him. But should we have a look at the match? Shall we have a look at the match and see what we think? It's only a couple of minutes, so but it is nice to watch one of these where we're not actually losing. So here we go.
Blast of come on Leicester from the visiting supporters in the far left corner. Mukasa will take to the right of the penalty area. Left-footed to the far post, and Caleb Okoli with a powerful header into the bottom of the net, and those Leicester fans that were chanting seconds ago are now celebrating thanks to Caleb Okoli's first goal of the season, and another assist from Divine Mukasa, floated brilliantly to the edge of the 6-yard area, and Okoli on target. Leicester lead in Middlesbrough.
Well, that's a lesson in how to take a free kick, John. Fair play to Caleb Okoli. Good, solid header. Doesn't really have to do too much. Just get his head on the ball. But it's the ball in, John. Look at the pace on that. The flight of the ball. Absolutely spot on. Okoli just loses his marker.
Okoli facing his own goal, 25 yards from it. Does turn. That's a dangerous ball. And it's straight to McGree, and Middlesbrough will try and pounce from that error. Here's Hayden Hackney, lovely ball to Conway, left of the box. It's pulled back and it's in. And Middlesbrough equalise in injury time at the end of the first half through Riley McGree. A dangerous ball forward. And Middlesbrough did pounce with McGree scoring his 5th goal of the season, the first time he scored here at the Riverside in this campaign. Conway drifting to the left, delivering in, and McGree able to sweep home beyond Begovic, and a boost for the home team just before the break. Middlesbrough 1, Leicester 1.
Yeah, another unforced error. This time Okoli trying to pass his way out. He's got Ricardo to his right. Just have to wait a minute. He's got Ricardo to his right, easy pass, and he tries to throw the ball through the middle. It just gets caught out, and then Middlesbrough just swarm in numbers.
0-0.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, looking at our goal, that's what you want your defenders to do, isn't it? You want your defenders, like the Matt Elliott's, Tags to a degree, Steve Walsh 100%, to get up there and be on the end of those. I mean, all right, up until last night, we hadn't probably really got anybody that could take a decent free kick, and it is nice to see. I say, unfortunately, it's a low knee, but Mukasa, what a player he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, two things about that goal is it was a great delivery. It was whipped. The pace was right. The height was right. I do think it was a lot of it was down to how poor their defending was, because it was almost like he was quite surprised that it came to him. Like, wow, I've got all this space. There was no real
space. Yeah,
there was no good marking on it. And the other one is, I can't believe a commentator's not gone, that was divine from Mukasa yet.
Boom, boom.
It's perfect, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it was how often have I said this season that when we've got a free kick, we haven't got a Maddison on the pitch anymore, and we haven't got anybody that can do that. Now we have, unfortunately, only till the end of the season, but let's make the most of it. It was good to see, and he's got the speed to be able to get back. Now, Vestergaard's started to do it a few times before he got injured, but and he's quite a tall bugger, Coley, isn't it? I saw him when he was celebrating that goal, and he dwarfed a lot of the Leicester players.
Yeah, he is. I mean, when he 0-0, I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen. I don't know, it was just some sort of spidey senses I had, but he's just got that in him. That I mean, there was a particular game. One of the games that I was at it was the Birmingham game. There was lots of things that happened in the Birmingham game that I kind of picked up on, but one of them was he played and his passing was just so poor. And somebody has got to say to him, "Look, you lump it." I mean, but then again, Nelson's isn't great either. But you can't be trying to play through balls in them situations, because they were on us quickly at that particular stage. Whenever there was a ball, they seemed to get all the second balls. They were bouncing in midfield, and they seemed to be getting on them. We couldn't get a hold of it, and I think sometimes awareness of that should dictate to a player and override systems and all of that. Shit, we're in trouble here. Fight or flight. I know it's not the modern way, but I'd rather him lump it into Rowett than it end up in the back of our goal at this stage of the season.
Totally. And although I do think under Gary, we don't seem to be doing a lot of that passing around at the back and playing it out from the back that we have been doing. Yes, we did a couple of times. It's not, we're not going to suddenly get rid of it, but I think there's a vast improvement on that.
Yeah, it's hard to unstitch that kind of
mentality.
Yeah, because they've been doing it for a season and a half, 2 seasons, haven't they?
Yeah. Prashant said they're high dog. That's made us. That's given us a pause for thought.
It's the only time he comes and sits on the bed with me when I'm doing a stream. Other than that, I'll sit on the bed. He buggers off.
You missed my really funny joke there.
I did miss it. Yes.
Yeah. Pause for thought.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
When I say joke, I mean very, very loose there. Yeah. Very loose. But we've also seemed to have somebody now that can take decent corners. Harry Winks.
Yes, I did. I picked that up. Yes, you're right. I mean, there was direction on them, and they were in areas where, if you're a goalkeeper, you kind of don't know where to stick or twist. And at one point, I think he kind of Superman punched, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that, that was potentially tricky. I mean, it was a good punch at the end, but it was coming straight in. And they're the kind of ones where you make defenders nervous and the goalkeeper nervous, and you end up with something that hits you on the back of the arse and in.
Yeah, no, indeed. And it's just unfortunate that the one that we had right at the end was probably his worst corner of the whole match.
Yeah. Sod's law, that.
It is. Right, let's see what this gentleman here, Mr. Rowett, had to say about the game. Because after the Stoke game, he was pretty honest. So let's see what you had to say about this draw.
The team sitting second in the table. How pleased were you with the overall performance this evening?
Yeah, really pleased again. Not long to work with a team. We know we've got huge amounts of injuries at the moment, so that most of the players have had to go again. You could probably see that at different stages later on in the game, which is a challenge for us and for me as a manager. But what I would say is, did a lot of things really, really well. Sometimes, again, the energy second half against Stoke, to then come here and put that into play against the very good Middlesbrough side. They're really well coached by Kim. He's done a fantastic job coming in here, and I can see why they're so high up in the league. So some tough moments first half out of possession, but I thought we dealt with it well. kept winning the ball back, kept getting into good areas, maybe lost the ball a couple of times in key transitions, which we need to be better on. We need to look after the ball a little bit more. Score a very good goal at the end of a good move. Obviously, it's a set piece. She usually does a lot of work on those. So I think it's all that work's come to fruition in that one moment where Caleb scores. And then I thought we actually looked reasonably comfortable without conceding big chances. Of course, to concede a minute before half-time in the way that we did, it was really sloppy. I think Caleb knows he's probably just got to go long with that pass rather than trying to find it. But he reacted brilliantly, and that was the main thing. So to come in at half-time, 1-1, after actually feeling like maybe you come in with a lead, once again, tests the players' mental resolve.
And I was going to ask you about that. Great reactions on Saturday to conceding. And it was the same tonight. It would have been easy to maybe fall with the run of form, but that must be so encouraging for you coming in to see that spirit, the fight, bodies on the line in the second half.
Yeah, we said it to the players. I said it in the press conference when I first joined. The only way we can create that connection with the team and the fans, and I understand how sometimes that can start to feel a little bit distant with the way recent games have gone and the position that we're in the league. So, but the only way we can get that back is, plenty of the fans have turned up, loads of numbers again, travelled with great voice. And I think we showed them at least a team that really cares and wants to work and wants to do the hard yards. We know we've got good players. We needed to see that a little bit more as the game went on. But again, sometimes when you're defending for periods, a little bit of fatigue sets in. You're having to keep tracking those runners into the spaces, which Skippy and Winksy did really well. It's difficult then to go and show the relevant energy on the ball. And you can see that late on Bobby struggled to get through the game. I thought Divine just lost a little bit of that intensity and one or two others, so Steffi as well. So that'll get better. We'll get better at that. We'll get better in possession of the ball. It's a nice base to start. It's a nice base to work from. And I think we'll get some more players back. You saw it tonight with Abdul and Jordan. It gives us different types of changes off the bench. And if we can add a 2 or 3 more to that, I think that's a real game changer for us late in games.
Back-to-back away games to start your tenure, 2 tough away games as well. So many positives, it feels. What has maybe pleased you the most about these 2 games or working with the group during the week?
Just the mentality. I think when you look at our group, there's a lot of talented footballers that have played at the highest level. And occasionally, sometimes it's getting those players to value the defensive diligence side of it, to value the structure, to value that hard work. But sometimes against Middlesbrough, doesn't matter who you are, you have to do the work to stop them creating lots of easy chances. And I think that's been the biggest thing for me in the 2 games. And also, when you think about the game against Southampton that everyone obviously was so deflated by, and how, people spoke about the team collapsing or whatever that was. But I've not seen that. I've not seen that. I've seen a different mentality to the team. I've seen a real focus about them. They want to the players want to get out of this position just as much as all of us, right? So I thought you've seen them at least putting the effort into trying to do that. We'll improve on the ball. I thought that was the only thing lacking tonight. Just
finally, you've had 2 great reactions from the away supporters. How much are you looking forward to a game at King Power Stadium?
Yeah, fantastic. I was just saying to Callum that I didn't play there as a player. I left. I think I did a photo shoot with my hard hat on. That was as close as I got. And they sold me just before I got that glory. So, yeah, it'd be nice to go out there, in the home dugout. I've been out in there in the away dugout. And like I said, hopefully people feel infused by what they've seen for the last couple of games. What we've got to do now is we've got to start turning these performances into wins and into more points. But it's a good start.
Nail on the head hit, I would say, with a couple of those comments.
I think it was a combination of very good media spiel, but also within that was real emotion. That he was enthused. He was talking quite a lot from the heart around a media kind of structure. It was a lot more sincere than anything I ever heard from Marty. Which, in the end, it used to just be going in there and out there. I never really used to listen to it. But in fact, I used to stop watching the press conferences, which I always enjoy watching the press conference. But he's enthusiastic. What gives me a little glimmer of hope is that there was almost a smile on his face there.
Yeah.
So he seemed happy with it. So if he's happy with it, maybe I should be a bit happier with it. That gives me a bit of hope that he's seeing something that we're not in the training ground, that right? That needs to be improved. And it's something we've said at the top of the show, wasn't it? You know, the attacking side of it, you know, the progressive passing, it needs to be worked on. But primarily the defensive side of it needs to be worked on. And although we let a goal in, you're right what you said. Under Marty, I reckon we lose 3-1 that game after half time.
Honestly, and I think possibly the Stoke one as well. You know, I don't think, and this is why I was saying, and I know, you know, I got what you were saying and why you were saying it, but for me, you know, 2 points isn't, you know, it's better than we could have expected, you know, and I just think when you look at where we've been this last 2 seasons, you know, under Rude and then under Marty, and Kingy to a degree, but you kind of Kingy that thing that he said he wasn't ready for the job, and it was obvious. And I think Andy King was handed a very, very, very hot potato by Top and John. But look, he stood up and was there to be shot at. But I think when I look at that team, like I said, that started yesterday, and when I look at the team and how it had played over the 97 minutes, whatever it was, and I've got to say, and I held my hands up at the end, and I got it wrong. I didn't think that team and those players were going to do it for us, and he's got them to do it. Now, he's not got them into winning yet, and he might have to make actual physical changes to get that, but it's the start, isn't it?
It is. I think it was interesting what he said about, you know, players coming back. You know, some players, I think he was kind of alluding to maybe Ricky P there, I think, a little bit, you know, not being able to. But I fully expect Ricky P to be dropped for the next game. Not because he particularly did anything wrong, but just...
He didn't, no.
I mean, he did some nice little trickery in that corner to get out of a situation, which was kind of vintage Ricky P, which I appreciated because, again, Ricky P's my favourite player at that club.
Yeah.
I just think he's cooked as a defender. But I just don't think that we could be relying on that right now. And I think Gary's gone in there and gone, right, Ricky's, you know, he'll be able to take my instructions on quicker, you know, blah, blah. And that's probably why he's playing him over Aluko. But I think Aluko starts Norwich.
Well, that's the thing. How would you feel if Chowdhury's back from injury and he starts?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think if Chowdhury was fit, Chowdhury would be Rowett's right back. And I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, no, you're probably not wrong there. It just sends chills down my spine about how many penalties we'll give away. But look, it's baby steps, and I know we've not got a lot of time, but we've got to take those steps before we can start. You know, got to walk before we can start running. And I think what we've seen over these last two games is us starting to walk. How nervous were you for the first 5-10 minutes? Because whether we're on top or whether we're not on top, we have given away more goals in those first 10 minutes than any other team in the division. And I think to get to the 60, what was it when they scored? The 46th minute without conceding, I was actually quite impressed with.
Well, in terms of being nervous, my feelings towards this club have been so numb for so long, and particularly how the team has been playing. This is the actual first game that I put it on the big screen in my living room, because I don't switch the telly on. I'm not a telly person, but I switched it on in there, had it all set up, surround sound, laid on the settee. And that's the first time I felt edgy, nervous, excited. And at one point, I nearly jumped up and then thought, probably better not do that with my back at the minute. So that I would say I felt that emotion like I used to all the way through the game. I couldn't sit still. I was like, oh Christ, come on, and then defend, please save it. It was like that the whole game. So that's the first game for, I can't remember, that I've actually felt nervous from start to finish, but with an excitement attached to it.
And when you look at this, and the stats would say, when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking we're playing really well. And when you look at the stats, they were better than us in a lot of areas. But when you look at that, especially that last period, I don't know, you can't see my mouse probably on there, but the just at the right hand side, where it's red, like four bits of red go up.
Yeah.
I was very nervous then. I really was. But, it was when I was there. If I'd been next door, Clibber, I'd have knocked on your door and offered to take the dog for a walk for you, because I could just see us conceding, and we were throwing our bodies on the line and what have you, and we got that little bit back again at the end. But they're second in the league for a reason. And they were stung when they didn't win the other on the weekend, and we didn't quite match them, but we held them off, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean that graph there, it was very reminiscent of a Martin O'Neill team playing against the likes of like an Arsenal. They had that feel about it. What I will say is, I think for large parts of that match, they absolutely battered us. They absolutely battered us. They won everything. They won all the second balls. They were much better in the pass. They passed through the middle really well, and there was intricate passes in our box and all the rest of it. But to be fair to the lads, they did that, stuck with it, one for all for one. Jumped on the ball. They didn't slide in silly tackles in the area, give away a stupid penalty. I thought they were all very honest in what they did. So although, yes, I think they did batter us for large parts of that game.
Well,
I think we deserved the draw.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, 60% possession. I mean, as Wayne said to me, possession doesn't mean anything. We won the Premier League with the least amount of possession, but as I said to him, but if you've not got the possession, you're not going to score. You can't score when the opposition have got possession. So, in an ideal world, that would probably be like 50-50. I know you don't need the majority of it, but without, some decent possession, you're not going to score. Look, the XG, it's 1.19 for them, 0.89 for us. They had 17 shots. We had 11. At half-time, that was 7-4. But ours were more targeted. They only got 4 on target. We had 6.
Well, that's an improvement as well, isn't it? Because I remember watching matches this season, and the end of the stats would say 2 shots on target, and I thought, I don't actually remember them having 1 shot, let alone 2 on target.
To me, I used to go mad in the Premier League when, if you're a bloody Premier League team and you don't get a shot on target till the 70th minute or whatever it was, it used to annoy me. That worried. This worries me. The next one, which was touches in the opposition box. Again, it's okay. It's what you do with those touches. But they had 44 in our box. We only had 21 in theirs.
Yeah, and I think it's very obvious where problems are going to occur for us going forward this season. Again, we've already spoke about it at the beginning of the show, or I brought it up, was the fact that up top, I think we're going to pay the heavy price if we're not careful for not having a system that works for our striker or having a striker that fits the system that we're playing. We could pay a massively heavy price for that.
Definitely. Look, their goalkeeper made 5 saves to Bekovic's 3. I don't think Bekovic could do much with their goal, could he? And for me, I think Bekovic keeps that jersey for the rest of the season.
He does. He's not the best goalkeeper in the division by a long shot. But what I will say is I've stood behind him when he was been practicing in goal. And he looks a big, imposing figure.
Yeah.
I think that's psychologically something that he has. It's okay saying we need somebody experienced at this level, at this situation we're in. Begovic is that, but he's using the experience well. He's seen it, done it, been there, and he's gone, right, I need to command these players. I need to keep talking to them. I need to keep positioning them. I need to tell Ricky off when he's being a dickhead, give him a slap on the arse. And he did that throughout the whole of that game. So that's where the experience works. It doesn't matter, if it's 40, 39, 50. If you've got the experience, fine. But if you can't use the experience, not fine. But he is using it well.
Indeed. Look, I want to look at one player, and I'm going to ask you a question that I asked Brad and Steve on the post-match review on Monday night of the Stoke game. This guy, to me, I mean, if we're going to have a redemption team, this guy's going to be the captain. What he has done in the last 2 games is absolutely unreal. I mean, I'll show you this heat map in a minute, and they brought it up on the TV last night as to
Incredible.
Now, where has this player been? Is it the fact that he got on so well? And look, I'm going to say, and something I when I was a manager of a team in Bournemouth, it was a team within sort of 6 teams within the sales department, and we had a sales manager over us all. We'd got somebody come in who had used to work there, and she was brilliant, and she was covering illness or whatever, and then she went away. In fact, no, I'll tell you what it was. She'd had a baby, and they hadn't quite got a position for her at Weymouth, so she came back to Bournemouth just for a while, and she was really good. And then the proper guy came back. It was a complete and utter head, and we didn't want to work for him. There was, you just did what you had to do. He was sacked, which probably tells you what he was like. And that lady came back in, and we all just started being brilliant. We enjoyed going into work. So a manager can have that sort of effect on a person. And we blame Harry Winks for travelling up from Milton Keynes or Hemel Hempstead, wherever it is that he lives. But that's not his fault. It could have been that Rodkin went to him and goes, Harry, we'd like to sign you. We think you're the guy that can sort of, the experience to take us back up, etc., etc. And Harry might have gone, look, we're trying for a child. If the wife gets pregnant, I want to sort of be quite close to her. I don't want to sort of be away from home. So I'm really looking for, a club around London or just outside London. And then John Rudkin might have gone back and said, don't worry, mate, come and play for us, and you can drive up and down every day. And then he may have said, well, okay, if that's the case. So is it his fault that he's in that position? And then again, is it his fault that he's not got on with the previous managers that have been in? And maybe Rowett just knows which buttons to press.
It's very, very difficult to make. We're not informed of all that information.
No.
So what I would say is it's not one manager. He's fell out with numerous managers, and numerous managers have found it a problem. Now, I don't think Rudkin should ever be making promises like that, because you've got to be logical about it. Where one manager might find it in that situation okay. I don't see what the problem is. One day a week staying over.
Mm.
I really don't. When my daughter was born, I was at home for 2 weeks, and then I worked away for 3 months. I'm not getting anywhere near the money he's getting, so I don't
Yeah.
really have any sympathy where that's concerned. And I never will, because he's the breadwinner, and that child is going to benefit greatly from that money he's earning.
Mm.
That child will never have to work.
Well, no, it's the point. But when you look at him, his passing accuracy just short of 92%. His tackles won 75%. This Harry Winks is a Harry Winks we need in the team. And I'm wondering if Jordan James suddenly gets fit again, and by all accounts, he might only be a couple of weeks away from that. Is it Skip that gets dropped and James plays with Winks?
If you're going to take someone out of the team, yes, it's Winks that gets dropped. He's not going to be here next season. Skip does the dirty work, which is going to be needed, particularly with this system. If JJ, there's rumours circulating that he might be fit soon, would you put him straight in the team and drop Winks? I think now you're playing Winks, and whatever you think, rightly or wrongly, he's playing. Whatever your views on that, he's in the team, and we're not going to be able to affect that. Whatever our opinions, you can't drop him. If you're going to play him, and you've sort of gone, well, that's the past,
Yeah,
rightly or wrongly. If he's playing like that, you cannot drop him.
No,
because it's working.
And in fairness, you don't just bring somebody back in just because they're fit.
Precisely.
I've never believed that. Even Vardy, to be honest with you, yes, he walks back in the team, say now if he was with us, because nobody's fucking scoring. But, if Iheanacho's fit or whoever went at the time, yeah, he has to wait. This is Harry Winks' heat map. He had 63 touches all in all. That's a touch every minute and a half, something like that. Probably not that long, but he covered a hell of a lot of that pitch, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. We all know that Winks at this level is capable of that, and there's much been said about how much he's been paid, and you can see why the average man, like me and you, find that a bit. Don't get me wrong, if somebody offered me that money, I'll take it, so you can't blame him, but you can see the disconnect between what my views would be on something that he's arguing about and what he would, because we're two different worlds. But if he can do that between now and the rest of the season, I mean, I personally wouldn't have had him back in the side, because I think he's been disruptive, and we don't know how bad that's affected team performances. Again, just surmising. But if you're going to play him and you're the manager that says, well, I don't care, I'm going to have him in the side, then we have to get on board with that, whether we like it or not. If he's putting that kind of heat map in, it looks like a murder scene at a Smurfs gig. But you can't drop him, can you? Because it's an integral part of how the game was played. Yeah. And we picked a point up against the second, and
in fairness,
I'd like to have won.
Yeah, in fairness, that bottom left-hand corner is very blue because, of course, he was taking corners there, so it would be quite example. Norwich are 2-0 up against Sheffield Wednesday with 59 minutes gone. It is Stoke City 1. Fortunately, Oxford United 1. So I'm not sure who went ahead there. Oh, no, it's not that game. It was Stoke who went ahead, but only for 8 minutes. And then Oxford have got back in. Come on, Stoke, do us a favour.
Yeah, we'd like to think so.
Yes, we would. So that, I think, now those were the question. That was right. This was the question that I asked Brad and I asked Steve on Monday's review of the Stoke game. If he carries on playing like this till the end of the season, No. You're doing what Steve did here. You're not letting me finish this. And he comes and says, "Look, my contract's out of, it's finished now, but no club has come in for me because no club's come in for him in the last two bloody windows that he was hoping for. No club's come in for me. If you want, I will stay and I will take a pay cut because, like you say, I mean, it's silly when you're talking 30,000 a week to 90,000 a week. Who can't survive on 30 grand a week? I had to survive on 30 grand a fucking year. Do you know what I mean? So, he says, look, I'm happy to take a cut in my wages just to carry on playing. As long as you let me talk if there's an offer comes in over a certain amount. And we stay up, not if we go down, if we stay up, do you consider giving him another year?
I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I think there's too much water under the bridge. It wouldn't be good for him. It would, by caveating it, by saying if a decent offer comes in, we're doing you the favour, mate, here, not the other way around.
Yeah.
No, I just think sometimes you need to cut ties with things. And Leicester have got a recent history of not doing that.
Yes.
And it's, you're left with players that are unmotivated and just hanging around. I wouldn't want to do that.
And we need him off the wage bill as well, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how credible this is, but I have heard there is not another drop in wages clause if we go to League One.
I have heard that as well, and that is extremely.
Well, it means we'll be in very, very serious trouble.
I mean, we're losing Winks, we're losing Daka.
We've got Vestergaard still on the books.
We've got Vestergaard and Skip still on the books. We're losing Piera. Yeah. Are they the two highest wage earners? Then I think they'll be left.
Yeah, Daka will be gone.
Yeah. So I think we've only got the two that are really on stupendous. Although you could argue Chowdhury on 30 grand is too much. But,
in League One, massive amount. You're talking about players. I mean, my mum lives where she lives. Her next door neighbour was, well, his mum still lives there, but this kid obviously grew up there. He was Rotherham United's record signing.
All right.
Right. And I know how much he's on because when he comes home from wherever he's playing in Turkey at the minute.
Okay.
But he quite often talks to my dad. And I know how much he's on in those sort of leagues. He's invested wisely and he'll be all right, but it is when you think about what he's on, and he was one of the top goals. He was a top goal scorer in that league for a couple of seasons. It's a fraction of what these players, if they got relegated, would be on. Now, it's not the income in that division that. I mean, it's got slightly better over the years, but you would not be able to sustain the club.
No, it's a very good point. And now whether you can renegotiate wages is another matter.
Would you? If it wasn't in your contract, if it wasn't in your contract, would you? If you're on, let's say, 20,000 a week. You're playing in the Championship, you get relegated, and it's not in your contract to do so, and they say, can you take 10 grand a week? What are you going to say?
I'm going to split this into two. We know what the obvious answer would be is fuck off, I'm on 20 grand a week. But then if I am a true Leicester fan as a player, as a lot of the youngsters are going to be. I know the youngsters aren't really the problem, but there's a lot to be said for the Vestergaards. Who have we got? Like I say, we've got Vestergaard, Skip, and probably Chowdhury. They're our three biggest earners, aren't they? Not sure about Luke Thomas, you could say, but apart from that, and because of course the loan players are probably going to go back at the end of the season anyway, are going to go back, apart from possibly James. You can say, well, look, we'll buy you out, of your contract just to get it gone. There are players. I mean, look at the guy the captain at Sheffield Wednesday. I know he left in January, but he stayed with them and took a hell of a huge pay cut.
That's an anomaly, though, Chris. The problem you've got.
I agree. But as a Leicester boy, I would not want to be the one that's tagged with my wages helping to send Leicester City into administration. Because if we go into administration, I ain't going to get anywhere near that sort of money.
No, but the problems that you have are the players. A lot of these young players, although they played for the academy, are probably Man City fans, Liverpool fans. They're not all Leicester City fans, right? Let's get that straight. Secondly, they will be advised by their agents and representatives not to do it. Best case scenario would be a deferral of wages.
Yeah.
Which you've still got to pay back, which means you've got to get promoted. The deferral will probably be only 1 year, so they'll give you a year to get back up, or they'll want their money anyway. It's not in the players' hands anymore, and it's not as simple as, well, I'm a Leicester City fan. I've got a young baby. I'll take a 10 grand drop. I think the missus would probably have something to say with that if they were married or they've got a young girlfriend who's an aspiring wag.
Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to find the wage thing, and I don't know where I put it, to be honest with you. I should have it somewhere. Football, is it under football? I can't just find it at the moment. But I guess, like you said, deferral's a possibility. But I mean, it's sad when you come to think that you can't bring a baby up with two parents and a baby on less than 10 grand a year. You know what I mean? I mean, let's be honest with you. 10 grand a week. Sorry, 10 grand a week.
Well, 10 grand a week is not 10 grand a week, is it? You're going to pay 45% tax. So it'll be more like 5.5 grand a week.
Yeah, but even so, the money they're getting for they get the bonuses for playing. All right, they're not getting clean sheet bonuses at the moment, but you know what I mean. It's just, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you are saying. But like certain players, I think Kieran Dewsbury Hall, for example, if he was still with us, would have done. But like you say, they are the anomaly. But let's have a look at this table here. So Sheffield Wednesday are down. They're losing 2-0 at the moment. Oxford have got an extra point, so they're currently on 30, so they're 4 points behind us. West Brom, like we say, have changed managers. Blackburn, I'm hoping that their new manager, because he's part-time and got interest and his mind's elsewhere with Northern Ireland, might slip back in, and Portsmouth as well. And of course, we play them coming up, don't we? I mean, all those games, all those teams, I should say. Sorry. Well, we've got Portsmouth coming up. We've got Norwich coming up, and we've got Blackburn Rovers coming up.
I'm glad about that. I think that is to our advantage.
Definitely, because not only are we getting 3 points, hopefully, but we're going to take 3 points off the teams that are in and around us. So, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad running to have, is it, really?
No, it's going to be twitchy bum, but I mean, if we stay up, then we'll all. That was good, wasn't it? Yeah. If we stay up, you will sort of look, reflect, and go, blimey, that was quite exciting at the end. If we stay up. Yeah.
No, exactly. Right. let's move on then, and let's do the player rating, shall we? So we'll skim quickly through this, and as we always do, we will compare this to Jordan Blackwell's at the Leicestershire Live. The good news is that we are now able to do halves. We never used to be allowed to do halves before because basically Jordan didn't. So it would have been a bit, you couldn't compare. But Jordan this week, for some reason, has started doing halves. So if you want to give somebody a half,
Maybe to our show, Chris.
maybe. That is frightening, actually. That is scary. Right, so let's start with, and it's you versus him, you versus Jordan, I mean, Bekovic. How many would you give Bekovic?
I thought he was close to being man of the match. I thought he commanded the area well. I thought he did everything he needed to do. He didn't really make any mistakes. And I thought a lot of his positivity, the defence's positivity, was down to him. So I'm going to go an 8 for Bekovic.
Okay. In fact, I've got to say, Jim actually went for Bekovic as his man of the match on the post-match.
Yeah. I can see why.
Yeah, no, it was a very good shout, to be honest with you. Well, Jordan went 6.5.
Okay.
Which I thought was a little bit disingenuous, to be honest with you, but there we go. Ricardo. Oh, I've got to say, normally, like I say, we do have a ham sandwich of the week, which is my way of instead of having a donkey, we have a ham sandwich because you know why I do the ham sandwich. But I couldn't pick anybody this week. I don't think anybody was that bad.
I could pick one.
I'm sure you could. Well, when we get to it, I'll look at your points and I'll see who it is. So,
Ricardo, I think he did. I think it was his best game for a long while. He got caught out of position a couple of times. Was promptly told off by Bekovic. So I'm going to say 6. I'm going to say 6 for Ricardo.
Well, you agree with Jordan because he went 6 as well.
Yeah.
So, by the way, guys, if you're watching and you want to put your scores in for the players, do feel free. Akoli.
It's a difficult one. So Akoli for me scored the goal, so he's got to be above average. Well, and then he made the stupid mistake, but I actually think he tightened his play up after that, and you got to give him props for that. So I'm going to go 5.5.
5.5. Well, he got 8 off Jordan.
Oh, ridiculous.
What he said was struggled to trap the runners in behind him in the opening 45 minutes and was caught out for the equaliser.
So how do you get an 8 for that? How do you get an 8 from that?
If you're watching Jordan, come on the show and defend your points.
Come and debate me, man. Come and debate me.
Yeah, because we've had him on before. It was a long time ago, though, to be honest with you. Ben Nelson.
Yeah, I thought it was quite solid. I don't think he did too much wrong. Positioning wasn't too bad. You would have to say he was probably our best defender. So I'm going to go 7, Nelson.
7. He got 7.5 from Jordan. So there, you're in pretty much an agreement there. I don't know if you'll agree with this one or not, but Luke Thomas.
Well, I thought, again, Luke Thomas has been a scapegoat for quite a while.
Yeah.
And the boys standing up to it and going out and they're still putting it on there. Whether he makes a mistake or not, you've got to show some character to do that for the amount of abuse he's been getting, rightly or wrongly, whatever my opinion is on it. So for that, you've got to give him credit. I'm going to go 6.5 because he was part of a back line that kept a very good attack inside at bay.
Look, Leicester City fans always love a scapegoat. And, I fall into that trap as well. And I can remember everybody going mad about, and I was criticising people for going mad about Ben Chilwell when he was England's first choice left back, but apparently wasn't good enough for Leicester. And then 2 minutes later, I'd be having a rant about Daniel Amati. So we all have players. And look, at the moment, it's Ayew and Ricardo. So we all do it. So I have to say, and he's not a kid anymore, but fair play to him because he does go out on that pitch and put a shift in. So he got a 7 from Jordan. So again, there or thereabouts. Mr. Winkser.
You'd have to say that if you look at stats, heat maps, and just what he brought to the game, as much as I hate to say it, he was superb in the conditions. So I would give him an 8.5.
An 8.5. Ooh, praise indeed. 7.5 from Jordan.
Hang on a minute. He gets 7.5, and Okoli gets an 8.
Yes.
What? Okay.
I think that's probably the goal. I think that's possibly the goal. Look,
but he let. Oh,
a bit of advice, Clivo. Like, don't try and understand how Jordan's brain will work, because we've been doing it for a couple of years now, and we can't get into his mind to work out how it goes.
I mean, I'm not an expert, but come on.
Skip.
Oh, again, for me. He was my man of the match. I'm not saying he was better than Winks. Or better than Begovic, but I think he was so instrumental in allowing everybody else to do their jobs, and it's so unappreciated. And I'm so happy for this lad that I am going to go and say I thought he was at least. I'm going to say 8.5. I have to, because I thought he was superb.
No, wouldn't argue, and 8.5 off Jordan as well. So he's given Skip more than he's given Wink. So fair play. Overreed again. Look, one of my humble pie players. Not that I don't like him. I just don't think on the wing it's his best position.
No, it's certainly not.
But he didn't have a bad game.
No, I thought he was good. He was above average. He's been out for 2 or 3 games now. Was it 3 games? So he's come in fresh. Dumped onto the right-hand side, which again, I'm not a massive fan of him there. I thought he stuck to that line quite well, because I expected him just to keep inadvertently moving inside. So I think he stuck to his task quite well. It wasn't natural for him. I'm going to say 6.5.
6.5.
He tired, didn't he, towards the end?
Yes, yeah. I think that's because, like I say, he's not a natural winger, and he got 7 off Jordan. I mean, you both of you, apart from Okoli, you're pretty much in the same ballparks, to be honest with you. Mukasa, okay, I absolutely love this player. I wish he was one of ours. He's not. Man City are no way they're going to let us keep him. The only thing is, if they think that he's not ready for the first team yet, although he has played for Man City's first team in the Premier League, and he's only 18, isn't it funny? If he'd have born in Leicester, we'd have been saying he's not ready yet. But I'm not letting that go. I'm never letting that go. But
no, I kind of agree with you. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but I agree with you. He looks physically like a footballer, doesn't he?
Mature for over his years, isn't he? With what he does, I love this guy. He was my man of the match against Stoke. He wasn't for this game, and we'll come on to that in a bit. If we manage to just about stay up, or even if we go down, I would like him. If Man City said, "Yeah, we want him to go out again," I would be saying, "Oh, can you send him to us? Can we have him again?" Man City might not want him dropping into League One, though. That's the only thing.
There's no chance. There's no chance that boy play. I mean, he would be the best player in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. This boy's going to be a special talent if he can stay fit and progress through the ranks carefully. And obviously, he's in a club that are going to protect him in that way. They're not going to send him to League One where he'll get his shin snapped off.
That's true. That's true.
I would say it wasn't his best game that I've seen out of the 3 that he's played. I would say that he tired late on, and like Rowett said, he was less effective. But what he did on the pitch while he was on it, for the majority, was progressive, made things tick up. You know, it was exciting. You always thought something was going to happen. Another assist, which is 3. I think it's 3 assists in 3 games. I'm not going to put him as high as. I'm going to give him an 8. I'll give him an 8.
Okay, so you give him an 8.
Great.
Like you say, you know, if he keeps popping up with these assists all the time,
you can't knock it.
No, you can't. 7.5 he got off Jordan.
I was tempted to say 7.5, but I think I'm just such a fanboy. I can't help it.
I know. I actually did. I couldn't. He wasn't my man of the match, but I couldn't go again because I give it personally my man of the match for the last 2 games. So I had to kind of.
To be fair, Jordan's probably more correct on this one than me, but I'm giving him. I'm just based on probably his last 3 games.
Jordan,
I can't not.
Take it, mate. Take it. That's praise indeed off Clibo. Mavididi.
6.
Yeah, and
the reason he's 6 and not a 5 is because he did a bit more running than he usually does.
Yeah,
but I thought he was largely ineffective. It just looked like somebody just let a balloon off. He was just running around and no real effect. I looked lost when he was up at the top end of the pitch where we were progressing nicely. He would get the ball and then inevitably kick it somewhere else, or in a really horrible position for one of our players to try and control the ball.
Well, again, you're spot on with Jordan because he gave 6 as well. And can I just say, I am so glad that I know that you've got a dog. Otherwise, I would think you have got a very passionate woman there. All I can hear is your dog going.
No.
So my mind's going to places I need to drag it back from. Let's move on very quickly, can we? Daka.
Again, one of Daka's skill sets is being able to upset defenders. I think when you see somebody who can run that fast, continuously run that fast for a large part of that game, it's going to make you go, oh, I'm going to be exhausted. And I think he did all of those things. The one thing he didn't do was score. Now, we can argue or not whether if you've got your head in the air, I can't even do this because my neck hurts. If you're up in the air, somebody will say, well, you should have viewed where the goal was and know where the goal is when you headed that ball. Others, it could disorientate you. It just depends which way you look at it. I'm going to give Daka a 7 because he worked freaking hard and he unsettled. He unsettled
everything that AU doesn't do. In fairness,
I'm not. He's getting nothing from me.
He got a 6 from Jordan for Daka. Now the substitutes, there's only a couple. The first 2 that he marked, Aribu and Page, he did not. I mean, they came on 76 and 88, and he just didn't give them anything because they weren't really on long enough. But what did you give to Fatawu?
again, he flattered to deceive for me.
Yeah.
He was a bit better than Mabadidi. There were some real. I mean, he cut across two players and just sliced them in half at one point, which I thought, yeah, that's Fatwa.
Yeah.
And then there was another point where he tried to, I think it was against Target, maybe. He tried to cut past him, and Target just went, have a word, mate, and just blocked him off.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating thing about Fatwa sometimes. I don't think he knows when to make those right calls.
Yeah.
And I think he looked a little bit rusty at times. So I'm going to say 6.5.
6.5, 6.5. Yeah, I mean, at least he's back. That's the good thing to see. And he was maybe a bit ring rusty because of that. And obviously, he didn't start. Maybe he'll be introduced more. But again, you're giving him 6.5. He got a 6 off Jordan. So there or thereabouts. No, I think you've already said where this one's going, but go on anyway.
Well,
Mr.
because he came on the pitch, I'll give him a 1, but nothing more than that. He did nothing positive in the game, other than be part of 11 people in our team, so that we didn't have 10 people. That's the only point I'm giving him, because he did nothing positive. It drives me mad. I can't understand how anyone can support this guy coming on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Jordan said ineffectiveness manifested in poor decision making. He actually gave him a 5, but that, in fairness to Jordan, is his lowest score of the night. So, again, it kind of says some. One thing. Chew. Oh,
bless you.
Chew. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, Aribo came on, won't bother because, like I say, Jordan's not giving him a score. But again, he's not a winger, is he?
No, but he didn't last long on the wing, did he? He sort of came inside. But what you will say,
who kept moving outside, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, what I will say about him, what I've seen of him so far, he doesn't look afraid to get stuck in. He doesn't look bothered by the fact that we're in the bottom part of the table, and he looks up for a scrap. So yeah, he gets my support for sure.
Yeah. I'm always worried when we buy a player who's not being chosen by his home team in a position similar to ours. I remember Mr. Bennett, Ryan Bennett, coming from Wolves, I think, oh God, I hope he's not going to be one of them. But fair, no, he's not looked bad at all when he came on. And look, Page came on 88 minutes, didn't really have a chance to influence the game.
No, he laid off. Thomas for that strike at the end? I think.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was the.
But look, again, he gives it his all when he comes on, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Rowett. Now, again, Jordan doesn't go for this, so I will mark him as well. And I'll go first on this one, because for me, if I'd gone out and not watched the game and just seen what the team he picked was, he'd probably be getting a 2 or a 3. But his substitutions, like you say, made sense, which they never really did under Marty. He's got the same players in the same positions, and I have to accept, apart from possibly bringing a couple of youngsters in, there's not a lot he can do with the injuries that he's got. I'm going to give him a 7, I think, because he's got the players playing, which they never did under Cifuentes or even Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yeah, absolutely. For me to give 8 plus, I don't think I'll ever give a 10. Probably not. No. But for me to give 8 plus means it's exceptional. They've done something exceptional. Do I think he did something exceptional for this match? No. Do I think he got the players The point, yes. Do I think he's put the hard work in over the last week or so? Yes. So for that turnaround leading up to tonight's match, I'm going to add half a percent on and say 7.5.
7.5. Fair enough.
Definitely did a good job.
I think we're all in agreement there. So just to round it up, give us your team rating and your man of the match.
Team rating, again, there was nothing outstanding, but what I did see and what Leicester City fans have always expected from their team is fight, endeavour, spirit, and just that clenched fist. So again, I'll go 7.5 for the team because they endured a hell of a lot of onslaught during that and came through it.
Yeah, I got to say, I actually went 8 for the team.
Okay.
I've again 7.5, 8. We're there or thereabouts. It wasn't a classic performance, you know. I wasn't watching Brazil or anything like that. But from where they've come, you know,
yeah,
that team 2 weeks ago would have just crumbled when they got their goal just before half time, especially when they got it just before the half time, because your half time team talk completely changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now
why I give Rowett the 0.5 extra.
Yeah. Your man of the match, you've already said, Skip?
Yeah, it has to be Skip for me because he's proved me right. And I like people who can do
that. I agree with you. I've got to say, post-match, Jim went for Bekovic. And I understand.
Hard to argue against that. I remember seeing it and I thought people are going to think that's controversial. But I have to say, he was a large part of why we didn't lose that game.
He pulled off a couple of really spectacular saves.
Yes.
I think, again, had we, I hate saying this, but had we had Salarczyk in goal for that game, with the way that they attacked us, you know, up to about the 80th minute, from about 60 to 80, they were all over us, as you saw on that graph earlier. I think we would have conceded with Salarczyk in goal.
Maybe so. It's not the time for a young keeper. We're not in a situation where we can afford to be bringing him through. I still like Salarczyk. I'm not going to slag him off.
No, I'm not. But like I say, I think if he'd been in, love him or hate him, I'm just being honest, I think, you know, I don't think he would have kept us in it the way Bekovic did.
You're right. You're right.
And Wayne went for Mukasa as his man of the match.
Yeah, I mean, I can see, like, Wayne likes his flary, attacky players, and I completely understand that. So it's completely subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is.
Me, I like flair players, but in situations like yesterday, it's not your flair players necessarily that drive that team. They're the little icing on the cake, which he's fantastic. In that game, the most industrious player was the one that stood out for me. And that's why I picked Skip over Mukasa. But again, I'm a fanboy of Mukasa. And if Wayne picked him, I couldn't really argue too much against it.
No. And it's nice to have a choice of players. Normally, we just say, well, it's him.
Yeah.
And it's the one player. I have to say, Tom and me both agreed. We both went for Winks. But I understand why, you know, Skip, you know, I could have gone for Skip. I could have gone for Bekovic or Mukasa, to be honest with you. But I just think...
It depends what you're looking for, doesn't it? How many boxing matches have you watched that have ended on a points thing? And you've gone, well, he did the most work. Well, he did the most punches.
It's all subjective. That's why we do this and have different opinions. But I just think Winks did put in a shift yesterday. Alan wasn't at the game, in fairness, but he did watch it on the telly. and he went for his man of the match and team performance. Again, he went for Winks as well, but he went for a team rating of 6, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But at the end of the day, maybe we should have won the game.
No, I don't think we should have won the game at all. I don't think we were good enough. What I will say is, I think the reason my team rating is higher than that, it's like, what do they say in political terms? The swing factor from that performance of shit against Stoke to now is such a big swing that I have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. Very, very quickly before you go, there's talk of a protest on Saturday. Well, there is going to be a protest on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a great believer in free speech. I'm a great believer we live in a free society. People want to protest on a walk, on a march. I have absolutely nothing against that. And I think we may have discussed this before. Very, very quickly, for me, I just think, is it the right time at the moment when we're just starting to get that feeling back up? Yes, there's a lot of things for the owners to question, and especially Rudkin as well. But I just don't know whether it should be held off or not.
Right, so here's my opinion on it, and I'll make this brief. I think it needs to happen. There needs to be a protest. No matter if we won every game from now to the end of the season, I think it still needs to happen. Right, that's the first thing. Do I think it needs to happen against Norwich? I think it's poor timing for 2 reasons. There is a maximum and minimum optimal time that you can make an impact for what you're protesting. Mm-hmm. I think the circumstances have changed where the Norwich position, it's a nothing. It doesn't matter. And what you're going to get is a load of people that are quite happy, just go along, do the protest, go in the ground and watch the game. But you're also going to get another load of people that have been tanked up, and it'll give them that reason to go, fuck, like this. And then get in the stadium, Norwich score a goal after 3 minutes, and the fucking atmosphere is vile. And I don't think that is something that should be risked on the altar of, the eventual thing that should happen. I don't think that's good. That's not what Rowett needs. So for me, absolutely it should go ahead, but I don't really think it's not the optimal time to make the maximum impact. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and they could disagree with me completely. Reece disagrees with me.
Once again, we're in agreement, because again, I am saying, everybody's got the right to protest and if they want to and boo at the end of matches, etc. But I just don't think it's the right time, like you
Last
said.
home game of the season for me. That's when,
or a TV fixture.
Yeah, for me, the best way to do it is nobody turn up. But the people are just not. The happy clappers won't do that. So
no, that would have a bigger effect, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just to very quickly round up the scores: Millwall 3, Birmingham City 0, Norwich City 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0, Sheffield United 1, Coventry City 2. Now the Stoke City Oxford game was a later kickoff. It's still going on as we speak. I'm just trying to see if they're saying how many minutes are added on, because we are into the 91st minute. It is currently Stoke City 2, Oxford United 1.
Come on.
Yes. Now I won't keep you because let's be honest with you, there could be 8 or 9 minutes added on, so I don't know. But at the moment, Stoke are doing us a favour. They scored with Cisse after 36 minutes. Brown equalised after 44, and then into the second half, Rak Saiki scored after 57 minutes. So Oxford United have just got a booking. That they haven't said how long Why don't they just put in the notes how many minutes are going to be added on? It's not saying. It's not saying. Fingers crossed, though. We're into the 92nd minute now. Fingers crossed, because as it stands at the moment, West Bromwich Albion on 35 in 21st, Leicester City in 22nd on 34, Oxford United on 29, and obviously Sheffield Wednesday on -7. The poor Devils. If it stays as it is, this could well be Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, and one other. And, I think you're looking Leicester, West Brom, Blackburn, and Portsmouth. I think any of those are still in that relegation fight. I think Norwich on 42, Charlton on 41 should well be safe now. But it could go down to the wire. And who have we got on the last day?
Blackburn
Rovers, yes. Yeah. I don't know if it's at home or if it's away, but they did us before on the last day, didn't they?
Yeah, I can't remember whether it's home and away now. I think it's home. Is it away?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Oh, hang on, I can tell you. I've got this open here.
I think it's away.
It is. It's away on
Yeah.
the 2nd of May. Yes, indeed. So could be interesting. Right, I better let you go because, like I say, this match could be going on for a long time. We're now in the 93rd minute, and it is still 2-1. Thanks so much, Clibbo. I'll see you on Friday for the preview. Don't forget, send me your team in.
I will do.
Yeah, and we'll have a chat about that. Thank you very much for coming on. It's always appreciated. Really do enjoy it. Better take your dog for a walk, mate. I will see you soon. Right. Thanks to everybody that was in the chat. Really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do all that shit. Type if you're on your mobile and you've been listening by your favourite podcast platform. Thank you very much indeed. Take care, everybody, and we'll be back tomorrow. Not me, but the channel will be back tomorrow with the Prediction League at 8 o'clock. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.